Hey guys, Catering Seller here, back at you with the last part of the Highway 127 series, and then next week we'll start the Highway Byway. Let's get started with the last day of Highway 127.
The first meaningful stop of day 3 was this sale right here with a bunch of Lego sets. There was Ninjago, there was Marvel. I think I can't sure remember if I showed Marvel and Ninjago, but there's a bunch of Lego here. I probably should have stayed around and looked at more of them because sometimes the minifigures are worth the money for the Legos. If you can find or Lego, sorry, singular. You can find the minifigures, like a bag of minifigures. You should definitely pick it up for decent money. This is the other item I pick up: Hello Kitty Build-A-Bear clothing. Now the Build-A-Bear actually is not Hello Kitty, but the clothing was. Maybe should have picked up that as well, but they were asking a little too much for me to spend that much for it. For Beyblades, they're not always the greatest thing. Some are worth money, some aren't. It just depends. I've never actually found out how to tell which ones are good and which ones aren't. But on this sale, I'm just going to show you a couple more things here. There's a bunch of like girl stuff mainly is what it was. The boy stuff was the Lego and the Beyblades. The rest of it was like clothing, and there's the Beyblades, I guess. Maybe I should have picked them up looking at that big bag of them, but for some reason I decided not to on that day. I'm not sure why exactly, but yeah. And then they had a bunch of shoes. I didn't pick up any shoes. I just didn't see any that looked like they were worth it. But yeah, that's about it for this sale. Let's move on to the summary.
So this is the first sale of day 3, as y'all saw in this clip. My strategy for this was go to a couple sales in the area. I'd find 1 or 2 items, but I wanted to go to this sale. It started at I think it started at 9 a.m. is when it started. Now this sale was only posted on Saturday, so it was the first day of this sale, which is why I wanted to go to it. I saw a bunch of Lego sets set out, so I was like, okay, I want this one. So I got there at like 8:45, 8:50. They said they're not opening the doors till 9, so I just sat in a nearby church parking lot, I think is where I sat, and I just waited for them to open the doors. And whenever I saw it was 9, I drove up there, doors were open, so I went in, picked up a couple Lego sets, and I also found that random Hello Kitty Build-A-Bear. Now the Build-A-Bear, the actual bear, it's not worth anything, not much at least. The Hello Kitty clothing though is worth something. That was one of my items I used in the 10 versus 10 challenge that actually did sell. It was my first item that sold. It sold for $42, as you can see right here. Hello Kitty Build-A-Bear clothing is a bolo. Definitely, and if you find the actual animals, then it's worth even more. You find them together, worth even more. So that's the first item that sold from that day, obviously. Also, I sold the Giant Man Lego. That was a good sale. It's the Ant-Man Giant Man from Marvel Civil War Lego set. So it's another good sale for sure. That also sold in the 10 versus 10 challenge. So that one sold for $38. I also have a bunch of the other Lego listed from the Civil War set, individual Legos. I'm going to throw them up here, the Mercari listings at least. Some of them are listed for like 30 or 40 bucks individual. Now, they haven't sold yet, but they do have some likes on Mercari, so I do think that they will sell for pretty good money. The other ones, the Ninjago, if that's how you say it, I think it's how you say it, Lego sets, I still haven't even listed those yet. So, yeah, this was 2 months ago now, I guess, because this is October, like mid-October, and that sale happened like early August / mid-August, somewhere in that range. So still not a bad for the first sale of day 3.
Here is the next sale. Pick up a couple items here. You're going to see the first one right here, that glass-blown flower, I guess you could call it, for $5. I do pick that up. I'm not really sure why, looking back. That, I thought it was a decent thing. I'll discuss more in the summary what it was exactly, but it cost $2. So sometimes those football plush like that can be worth some money. The certain brands can, at least. Kmart is one of the brands that's worth a decent amount of money. That one isn't worth that much, unfortunately, but I just wanted to show y'all some more sites from 127. There was a bunch of Ohio State stuff at these sales, obviously. You saw the sweater there and some other things. I think I pick up 1 or 2 sweaters here and there. At Highway Byway, I pick up way more stuff. I debated picking up that lamp shade there and maybe some of those lamps, but I think they were asking a decent amount of money. And at that point, I wanted to save on space, and I don't really have a easy way to store stuff like that. I had 1 or 2 totes that I brought with me for like protection for glass items, but that was a big item, and I'm not sure it would have even fit in there. The hats, none of those looked like they were anything good, so I passed on the hats as well. But yeah, at this sale, I pick up those 2 items. There's Brutus the Buckeye little hat. That was kind of cool. I was trying to find an item worth a decent amount that was Ohio State. I found one that was decent, but it was broken, unfortunately, so I'm not sure. I got it for like $1, so I decided to risk it. I'll discuss that maybe later, but here's a summary of the items I found at this sale.
This next sale had some really cool items. Most of them were overpriced though, but I did pick up that one little glass flower. I don't know why I'm pointing. It didn't sell yet. I put it in the antique booth that I used to have and no longer have, unfortunately, but can't sell it there anymore, so now I'm gonna have to list it on eBay and see what happens. I think I paid $5 for it. I think I probably put it in the booth for like $20 or $25, somewhere in that range, but we'll list it on eBay and see how it goes. It's like a flower, hand-blown flower is what it looks like to me. That's how I'm going to describe it. And also that Ohio State plush is not Ohio State per se. I thought it was one of those Kmart ones which sell for like $100. It's only worth like 15 to 20, and I paid $1 or $2 for it. So it's really not that great of an item to pick up, and it's a little big. So probably shouldn't have picked that up knowing now what I know, but I thought maybe the brand was something different. I couldn't really the brand was hard to see and make out right there in the moment, which is why I picked it up. But it'll still make me a little bit of profit. Let's go on to the next sale.
So at this sale, I find a North Face jacket. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I looked and I saw that on it. I was like, oh, never mind. I'll discuss in the summary more asking for y'all's opinion about that. I also pick up that little plush duck. I think he was like 50 cents to $1. The North Face jacket was like $3 or $5, somewhere in that range. They had a lot of clothing as well. This was, like I said, day 3, so stuff is a little bit cheaper. Those are some helmets. Helmets are always a hard thing to pick up. I don't think you're actually allowed to sell them on eBay as functioning. You can sell them as like collectible or something like that because, there's a risk of, have they been in an accident before? Are they safe? So you should not list them as like safe for roadways or something like that. You need to just list them as like collectible or some other version of that so that you're covering your own self in case something happens to somebody and then they try and sue you, because people can sue you for anything nowadays. But yeah, I haven't sold any helmets in a while. Should have picked up some stuff there. Maybe that new in the packaging water pick. Sometimes water picks can be decent money. I think it was a water pick at least. But on this day, I don't pick that up. That bag, nothing looked that great about it. Bags, I don't usually pick them up unless it's a brand I recognize. That's like a steamer, maybe some kind of Honeywell utility heater.
For this next sale, I pick up a North Face jacket. It's still out in the garage. Haven't done anything with it yet, along with that little duck. The duck did actually work, but it probably needs a battery change because it didn't work half the time. But the duck's worth like 20 to 30, somewhere in that range. I was able to look it up based on the comps and based on looking at the brand. The North Face jacket, if I can get all that stuff off of it, I think I paid $3 for it, maybe. Like she was asking, I think 10, and I was like, what about all this stuff on here? I think it was concrete is what she said it was. So I'm not sure how to clean that. I still haven't gotten around to that yet. Maybe I should probably wash it off outside first before putting it in the washing machine. I don't think concrete's a good thing to put in your washing machine. Maybe if any of y'all have a suggestion, let me know what your thoughts are. My thoughts are try and get all the concrete off outside and then see what kind of conditions it's in, and then maybe put it in the washer and after that. But yeah, that's it for that sale. On to the next one.
Here is the next sale. Pick up some Antioch Shriners items. Not really sure whenever I got it if it was going to be worth it or not, but it turned out to be worth it. You'll see in the summary what some of these have sold for. But yeah, there's a bag of Antioch Shriners hats. I guess you could call it that. Some version of hat with tassels on them and pins, like you stick like Disney pins. So I pick up those items. They were kind of cool actually. But this sale had a lot of stuff at it. This was one that was way in the middle of nowhere. Had to drive like a couple miles to get to it. Luckily, sales like this, sometimes they'll have signs that point you and say keep going, stuff like that, which does help a lot whenever you're actually out on the road. So if you're doing one of these sales yourself, make sure you put signs up that tells people where to go, or put an address that people can put in their GPS or something like that. Some of that glass looked interesting, but like I said, a lot of the stuff was pretty overpriced, especially these. They were $1 each. I think it was like some silver plated. None of that was like sterling. If it had been sterling, then it would have been worth it, but it wouldn't have been there anymore. Some of those hats looked cool as well. None of them, like the NASCAR hats there, Mobile One Racing, and a couple other hats. These might have been cheaper. All of it for $10, I think, but none of it was Oneida or any other brand that I recognized. So that's why I didn't pick those up. If they'd been Oneida, I definitely would have picked them up. They were probably like Reed and Barton and Hampton. I don't even remember at this point. I can't see it whenever I'm looking at it from here. But yeah, I did look them up and they weren't actually, I can't remember if I think my phone did actually work out here, which was surprising. But that's why I picked up the Antioch stuff, because I was able to look up one or two comps and see, oh yeah, there is one sold for a decent profit. I think it was like a photographer hat or something like that. But I think right there was where the Antioch stuff was. There was also clothing at the sale, but it was mainly hard goods. If I had more knowledge about like glassware and stuff like that, I probably would have picked up a lot more stuff, but I just don't have that knowledge, and I don't feel like shipping that kind of stuff. At this point, that looked really cool, and they were asking $80, so I think it would have been 40, but still, I don't want to ship something like that, and I don't have another way to sell it right now other than shipping. So, would you have picked that lamp up for $40? It just didn't seem worth it to me. I was looking for Fontanini here, but none of it said Fontanini. Here's a summary.
So this was a sale that was way out in the middle of nowhere, some random barn that you had to drive a long ways to get to, and I thought I was going to leave empty-handed. A lot of the stuff, it was all half price. That's what they do. A lot of the places on the third or fourth day of 127, they'll discount everything to half price. So this was half price. I think it was originally 50 and they were asking 25 for it. So it's a big bag of Antioch, which is some kind of Shriners, I think is what it is. Maybe I'm not sure exactly what it is, but yeah, it was actually turned out to be a pretty good investment. As you can see right here, I sold one hat for 20, one for 70, and then I sold one on Poshmark for 28. So yeah, I'd say I got my money back already. I still have a random like sash of pens that also come randomly. I think they came in the, obviously in there with it, but yeah, those will sell for probably 25 to 30. So some good profits there. I wish I'd been able to pick up more stuff. I wish I'd gotten there earlier. But next year I might actually do that and just start in Ohio instead of starting in Kentucky. But we'll see how everything goes for next year. But on to the next sale.
Moving towards the end of 127 here, they had a bunch of clothing and shoes at this sale. Those looked interesting, but I didn't wind up buying them. Just didn't see any way to comp them really. A bunch of glassware, like normal. Well, always a bunch of glassware at these sales. There were some plush and toys, but none of those toys were anything great. They were just, random generic Fisher Price stuff. I always have problems saying that word for some reason. Baby clothes and other stuff. I do pick up one or two items at this sale. I'm going to show them in a second, I think at least. I don't show it for very long, but it is what I pick up at this sale. It's some baseball equipment. Anytime I can pick up baseball stuff for decently cheap, I'm going to pick it up. There's some more toys and plush. None of those looked anything great. I did look them up, and they didn't have any sell-through rates at all, or maybe not even any sales. That little for real pet, sometimes those can be worth it, but that one wasn't. It's just a dinosaur that probably you can still buy it in the store for like $20 or $30. So picking it up at a garage sale is not going to do you much good. But here I think I'm going to pan to what I pick up real quickly. Some baseball gloves, baseball bats, and just baseball equipment overall. I think. I'm waiting to see if I'm actually going to show it. Yeah, there it is. Here's a summary of what those might be worth.
So I thought I was going to leave this sale without buying anything. This one's one that was right along 127, riding along there, and I see, a sale. So I was like, well, it's getting towards the end of the day on day 3. I'm going to go ahead and stop and see what I can find. Because I already had my hotel booked for 2 days, so I was going back to the same hotel I had in Wapakoneta, Ohio. So I did find a baseball bat. I was surprised it was still there. They only were asking like $10 or $20. The one Omaha bat sells for like $90 to $100, somewhere in that range. So yeah, I'll take it. The rest of the stuff in the bag wasn't that great. The gloves were pretty beat up. I think I wound up throwing the bag away, actually, at the hotel. I don't think I brought the bag with me because it was in that bad of shape, but I got 2 bats out of it, and I got a helmet. No, I think I threw the helmet away as well. I think I threw the helmet away because it was in terrible shape as well, and it wasn't a very good helmet. So yeah, that took up a decent amount of space before I was able to throw it away whenever I got back to the hotel. But I did get rid of it. I did have one bat, and it's worth around $100. On to the next sale.
These pennants were really cool. I picked up 2 of them. I maybe should have picked up more, and then I say maybe not. Kings Island and Ohio State Fair. They did have damage to them. The other ones had more damage. There was a decent amount of toys at this sale, but I think they were still asking way too much. That wooden blocks, they looked vintage to me, and same with those blocks, but I just don't have the knowledge of those blocks, and they would have cost a decent amount to ship. So that was a bunch of baby stuff and toys, which is usually something I like to pick up, obviously, but on this day, I don't decide to pick up any of them. There was also a bunch of glassware at this sale, but they were kind of closing up for the day. This is the end of day 3, and I didn't really want to sit there. And I can't remember if I don't think I had service here either. Sometimes, unfortunately, your phones fail you when you're outsourcing on one of these big, long yard sales, and you're in an area where you don't get any phone reception. So, unfortunately for me, I didn't pick any of that up. There's a bunch of glassware there. I don't see any prices on these items. Oh, there it is. $18. I can't pay $18 for that. If it's worth something, then by all means, you can buy it for 18. But they weren't discounting any of their stuff yet. So even though this was the end of day 3, they probably just do this like every year, or maybe they have a yard sale every quarter and they just use the 127 to get rid of a lot of stuff. I'm not sure. But, and I think this might have been one where they said they actually do estate sale clean outs. So they actually go in and clean the estate sales out and just put all the stuff in a barn like this and then sell it. So they probably have sales every once every 2 months or something like that, just to try and get rid of stuff. But yeah, that's it for this sale. Pick up those 2 pennants, and I'll talk more about them in the summary. And they aren't really worth that much, but I think I paid $5 each, but they looked cool to me at least, so that's why I picked them up.
This was the last stop of day 3. I was driving along and it was about to start pouring down rain. They were brushing stuff inside as I was going to the sale. But I did find a couple things. Kings Island is a amusement park, I believe, up in Ohio area. So I picked up a couple banners from that. They're not really worth anything great. I think I paid $5 each, which was too much. But they will sell for probably 20 to 30. They did have some damage, which is the unfortunate part. They also had some other cool pennants y'all saw there that, as I showed in the screenshot or in the voiceover. I don't remember what they were because I'm recording this before I do the voiceover. But yeah, some decent finds. And let's go on to one more sale, I think, at day 4. I only find like 1 or 2 things in day 4, but I do make it up and I do go to Michigan. I don't show that. I don't think I actually show that in the clip because the one sale I went to Michigan wasn't open. They had stuff out, but they weren't selling anything because there was nobody there. Let's go on to the last clip.
Here is the final stop of 127. Pick up this NSYNC blanket for, I think it was $1 or $2, maybe $1.25. It was half price of $2.50 since it was the last day. They gave a decent amount of profits, half off on the last day of this sale at least. Footprints in the sand, I think. One right man had a dream. I'm not sure exactly what it said, but some kind of footprints blanket for, I think that one was $2, so it was like 4 and half off at 2. This sale had mainly clothing, unfortunately, which is something I don't like to sell. So if I can find a good price on it, then I will. But at this sale, I didn't find anything. There were some hard goods here and there. The pot made in USA. Maybe it would have been worth picking up, but it wasn't in the greatest condition. There's Purdue stuff, a little toy truck, monitors, and then random other pictures and stuff like that. So on this day, all I picked up was those 2 blankets. I'm going to show y'all more of the clothing section over here, just so y'all can get a glimpse of what some of the offerings were at the 127 sale. In summary, I enjoyed the sale, but I'll talk about this in the actual summary as well. It's just a bunch of vendors at most of these. You'll find some, if you can top in a town and go around. That looked interesting. I debated getting the Mickey onesie since I was going to Disney World like 2 months later. But actually, I guess it's Minnie Mouse, so that's why I didn't pick it up. But maybe, I don't remember what size it was, but can't see on that. But I did look at the sizing at least to see if one of my friends might have wanted it, but I decided not to pick that up.
So in this last clip, I pick up 2 blankets. Y'all probably recognize the NSYNC one at least. That one was pretty cool. I'm surprised it was there on the last day. I think I paid $2 for that. I don't know why it was still there. Maybe NSYNC's not as popular. I know they're not as popular as they once were, obviously, but you'd think that someone would have picked that up at some point. And then the footprints blanket as well. I don't think I've listed that one. It's still somewhere in this house. If it's even made it in the house yet, it might still be in the garage. Usually I put everything in the garage and then bring it inside after that. But yeah, I've been a little bit slacking in doing that. I still have a lot of the highway byway stuff out there too, so hopefully I'll be able to get some of that listed before I actually film next week's video. I do have some sales already from the highway byway, but yeah. That's it for this video, guys. Don't forget to leave a like, comment with your favorite sale out of the 7, I think I did. 6 or 7 I went to. Mine's probably going to be either the first one or the one with the Antioch stuff in it. I'm not sure which one of those is my favorite, but some decent profits. 127 wasn't amazing. Highway Byway was definitely better, and I covered like way less distance. Like in one day, we went 6 miles, whereas in 127, you could go 6 miles without even hitting a sale. So I think I don't know if I like 127. The couple years I've done it, I haven't really found anything too great. I prefer like Peaches to Beaches or Highway Byway or some other, smaller sale. The Flee Across Florida wasn't that great either, but that's just because everything's spread out. You're not going to find much there. It's more that Flee Across Florida is more vendors, just like 127 was, whereas Highway Byway was individual people having a sale. And so don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. We're getting close to 3,000 subscribers. I think I'm 10 away maybe as I'm filming this, but I've been stuck at 10 away for like 3 months, so we'll see. Maybe I'll get to 3,000 eventually. Tell your friends and subscribe. Thanks for watching.